Now, for those who don't already know, myself and my business partner Kyle Patterson, we set up a company called Aurora Athletic back in 2013. We were operating out of a number of different gyms since we started. We're doing the whole one-on-one personal training thing, and we decided, pretty quickly that we needed our own place. Oh, hey. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys whether or not you should be opening up your own gym or not. That's completely up to you to decide. And I suggest you write down a business plan and see if it's something that you're actually capable of doing. Okay, the biggest thing you need to have is the finances. You need to be able to afford to do something like this. You also need the time and the effort and the passion to do something like this. Okay, it's all well and good to think, okay, yeah, imagine having your own gym, how good would that be? Let's do it. No, it's a little bit more complex than that. This is real life, it's serious shit. So think, are you ready for this? Are you prepared? If so, great, let's go. Location is obviously a big factor because people they're going to be coming to your gym. So they need to be able to access it. Okay, this place is perfect. It's 10 minutes from Newcastle City Centre. It's next to a dual carriageway, Scotswood Road, and it's next to the A1, so it's ideal. It's also, we have our own private parking in a closed off, gated community, so not only is it safe and secure, monitored by CCTV 24/7, but we have our own parking, okay, which is great because we have a lot of high-end clientele coming here who drive very fancy cars. People who come down in Rolls Royces, BMWs, Mercedes, Bentleys, whatever, you name it. They've come down here, and it's good for them to know that they can happily leave their car outside and not have to worry about whether or not someone's going to come and key their car or try and break into it. So you need to think, not only is parking important, but the overall look and location of your gym is going to be a big factor as to what kind of clientele you attract. If you have a really shabby looking gym which is dirty and grimy on the inside, people probably aren't going to want to train there, particularly the high-end clients. So as you can see, the gym has a nice finish. It's not shabby, it's not dirty, it's clean, relatively modern. It also comes with 2 offices. We have a large upstairs mezzanine office, and we have one small one downstairs. We've got 2 bathrooms, toilets, and the main area is big enough to have all the equipment that is necessary. So you want to look at the main space itself and ask yourself, okay, is there enough room for all the equipment we want to have? With the building use, if you want to go into a premises and have it operating as a gym, you may or may not be able to based on what that building is assigned for. So say, for example, if the building can only be used for commercial use, industrial, storage, office, anything like that, you can't start operating as a gym within that premises. The council won't allow it. So what you have to do is apply for a change of use, which takes, it can take months. It took us 2-3 months to get this place sorted. And, sometimes they're not that very cooperative, so you have to be very patient when it comes to doing something like this. So apply for the change of use. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's just one of those things. You have to look elsewhere. I thought it literally was as simple as, bam, we found the place we want, let's get in there. It really, it can be in some places if the council are quite relaxed about things, but not here. We literally had to wait 3-4 months, painfully slow work until, we could negotiate back and forth, and they allowed us to operate from within this premises. It could have all been done in a matter of days, but no. It got dragged on massively, and it was extremely frustrating. Me and Kyle were literally losing the plot because we were ready to be in our own gym, but we just couldn't move in there because we weren't allowed. We had all the equipment, all the mats, everything ready to go. We were just waiting for that green light. So that might be one of those things you have to watch out for. So a little bit annoying that there's no windows around the outside. However, it does come with emergency exit doors, so with these open and the main shutter open, you get quite a lot of natural light in here and nice breeze coming through in the summer when it gets a little bit too hot. That's one of the perks of this place. Although in winter it can get very cold, in the summer it's nice and cool. It's a lot cooler than it is outside. In winter, unfortunately, it's just one of those things, it is going to be cold. And yes, it does come with a heater, a gas heater, but what it does, it just blows all the hot air down to the ground, and the hot air rises, goes to the roof, and obviously it'll just go straight through that very thin metal roofing. Okay, there's no insulation there, so that's the problem with winter. It generally does suck in here, it's freezing. It will mimic the same temperature that it is outside, so you've got to wrap up. It's not too bad when people are training because you can warm yourself up pretty quickly, but for me, when I was coaching people, for hours on end, you know, it does get very cold and I've got to be wrapped up in my coat and my gloves, and it's not that fun. But that's Newcastle, that's England. If you live in a warmer country, you know, you won't have the same problem as that. I'm very jealous. But yeah, something to bear in mind, heating is also going to be on your monthly bill list, particularly if you're going to be using that massive thing. So once you've found your ideal location, you've got the green light from the council, you have the money to pay for a couple of months upfront rent, and everything's all good with the estate agent, landlord, you're ready to move in. So first thing you need to do when it comes to opening a gym, the main things you will need in there, the flooring, you will need mirrors. You don't have to have mirrors, but mirrors are pretty good, and equipment. And then there's all like the extra furniture and decoration if it needs to be done. So when it comes to the mats, you know, you need to decide what kind of activity is going to be going on in there, but I would invest quite a bit into the mats. You don't want some crappy, you know, thin mats which are going to not last very long and not look good. You know, mats, you know, it's kind of weird. They do play a big part in the way the gym looks. So, you know, make sure it looks nice. So this was the kind of pattern that we went for. Looks smart, easy to do. And what we did, we basically put the majority of the mats down, and then we left space for someone to chop around the edges. We checked a few different places out, we found a good price, and we decided to pay a monthly fee for the mats. You know, so the cost was spread out over a long period of time, so it didn't, you know, eat up our reserves from the beginning. We went for the option was like 12, 16 or 18 millimeter mats. So, you know, obviously the thicker they are, the better. And you know, what kind of mats you get is going to depend on the floor that you have. If you're on the ground floor with concrete ground, then, you know, you don't need to go for as thick a mats. If you're on the first floor, second floor, or the foundation is very, you know, poor or not so strong, you probably need to get thicker mats. Close up of what the mats actually look like. I think these were probably about 12 millimeters. We didn't go for the 18 mil because we didn't need it. It's just more money. And because obviously concrete floor, we didn't need too much protection. This is the mat itself. Pretty heavy. Getting them in place was a tough job, but we did it. So when you place the order for the mats, obviously you want to calculate the square foot, the total area which you want the mats to cover. Then I would go get a little bit extra, okay? So just in case you mess up with any of the mats, and in case you need to chop up some of the mats into smaller pieces to fill the tiny little awkward areas, which we needed to do. So I think we actually ended up with having, I would say, 2 or 3 mats spare, but they were all chopped up into tiny little pieces. There was nothing we could do with them, so we just got rid of them. Myself and Kyle, we were ambitiously going to do the job ourselves, but we decided against it because not only were the mats extremely heavy and tough, but if you mess up on a mat, you've almost wasted a mat. And you know, some of those mats were like £50-60 per mat, and that's a lot of money if you end up, you know, just throwing it away. So we got in touch with a guy who knew what he was doing and managed to do it for us. It cost a little bit of money to get them to do it, but trust me, it's worth it. Don't try and do it yourself.
So as you can see, this was the difficulty we had trying to do it ourselves, trying to cut the mats in this kind of a way. You know, we tried and we decided against it. We decided to get a professional to do all this kind of thing.
Second thing, when it comes to the mirrors, we got ours custom built. Nice big long mirrors which pretty much filled up the whole wall. So I think each one was about 5 meters wide. The mirror company decided how it would be best to split up the panes of glass, and again they came with it and they installed it themselves. I wouldn't recommend you, if you've never put up a mirror before, just let them do it, let the professionals do it, 'cause there's nothing worse than smashing a mirror and having to get another one. So yeah, pretty solid. I would recommend going for the thicker ones, so they're a little bit more durable. If you get a thin one, they do, apparently they look a little bit different, and yeah, you got to think, if you have one of these dumbbells falling on the floor and then rolling into the mirror itself, if that cracks, you got to get a whole new pane. What we did was we actually asked them to put them in place so that if, you know, worst case scenario, we needed to move, we could actually take the paint off the wall and then take it to another premises if we needed to. Because if you do get them permanently glued to that wall, you know, that's it, they're not coming off. And if you need to move to another premises or leave, you're gonna have to smash them off, which, long story, we had to do that, but that's a story for another time. What we also did, we had some pretty cool LEDs placed in, you know, because of the Aurora Athletic being the name of the company, we thought we should get some nice Aurora purple styled lighting in. Now, these LEDs can actually be changed to any color that you want. And it was actually, the idea came from one of my clients called Laurent. He was a French guy. He used to do the interior of nightclubs and stuff, and he came in to train. He was like, you guys really need to, you know, add some cool lighting to this place. And I was like, okay, what do you have in mind? So we got some LED strips put in just in front of the mirror. So as you can see here, the LED strips were just put underneath a piece of wood, and then we had some plasterboard put over the piece of wood, which we sanded down, put together and painted white. So as you can see, it has a nice little effect along the bottom of the mirror. We also did the same thing on top. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little purple tint. We put strips behind the walls just to lighten up the place a little bit. And you know, it really does make a difference. When it comes to the equipment, you need to ask yourself, right, are you going to pay for it all up front, or are you going to pay on finance on a monthly basis? Obviously, if you pay on finance, it's going to be overall more expensive, but it allows you to keep some of your reserves from the start. We had some savings, so we decided to buy everything up front. You know, pros and cons as to whether you do that or not, but the best thing you can do, because there's so many companies out there that sell equipment, I would go from one to the other and to another, get quotes off them all of all the basic equipment that you need, and then once they come back with a quote, you can then get them to compete against each other. Because there was one company who said, oh, you know, we're guaranteed to beat any other quote that you'll get, and we were like, okay then, so we got this quote, beat that, and then they would beat it, and then we'd go back to the other one and say, hey, look, this company have beaten your quote, and then, you know, it was like a price war to who could give us the best deal, which was great. We ended up saving hundreds. And you know, if you have someone in your business who's particularly good at negotiations, I'm not the best, but Kyle was pretty good at that. We saved a lot of money doing that, so that's something to bear in mind. It's very tempting to want to, especially on finance, get loads and loads of equipment, even pieces of equipment you don't necessarily need. What we did, we just started off with the very basics. So, you know, we got the benches, squat rack, the dumbbells, hyperextension bench, calf raise, and a decline bench. And that was pretty much it. For the first few months, our gym was pretty goddamn bare. Like there was so much room for additional equipment, but we weren't ready to, you know, purchase and invest into a load more equipment at that point, because it was very early days. Obviously, as you begin, you know, to start earning lots of money and things looking pretty solid, then you can start forking out and buying more equipment. So don't go crazy, take your time and just get the essentials. So one of the things I didn't expect was actually how expensive it would be to run your own gym. I'm not to say it's crazy expensive, but it's more expensive than I had originally anticipated. You know, you might think everything's going all well and good, and then all of a sudden you'll get a load of stuff in the post and you're like, oh, a bill, I didn't expect that one. Oh, another bill. Oh, okay. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, this isn't funny anymore. There are unexpected bills which are going to get thrown your way, so you just have to be prepared and be able to cover them. You don't necessarily have to pay them straight away, but bills need to be paid at the end of the day, and it's not something you can run away from. So be prepared for unanticipated and unexpected bills that will be coming your way. So guys, there we have it. There's some of the main steps you need to go through in order to set up your own gym and have it ready so that you're open for business. Now, if there's anything I've missed out, do not hesitate to comment below. I'll try my best to get back to you. Like I said before, it's never an easy task when you come up to setting up your own gym or even just your own premises. There will be obstacles that will come your way. There will be unexpected bills, and it will be very demanding on your time and your resources. But that's just the way it is. It rarely is simple and straightforward. Best of luck to any of you guys who are actually taking on your own premises or looking to do something like this. I was 23 at the time when I did it. I was very young. I had a hell of a lot to learn. I almost wish I could have seen a video like this before we went and went through all the tasks that I've gone through in this video. But it was a learning curve. I've learned a hell of a lot from doing something like this, and I'm sure you will too.